But she said that, listen, I just feel like I want to jump off the bridge because this pain is just killing me. And it has a very typical nature. It's, sharp shooting, electric, shock-like pain. It's as if someone's stabbing you from the inside.
Yeah.
She drives freely on the C-Link now.
Right.
Which is with
right.
no thoughts of wanting to end her life. And the reason why it's called suicide disease, because I remember a patient of mine. This patient, he had trigeminal neuralgia, and we kept postponing the operation because we had more serious cases coming in. And one day he jumped off the 6th floor of the building and committed suicide.
The moment the surgery is done and the patient is in consciousness, the pain is gone.
Gone. It's magic. It's one of the most rewarding operations in neurosurgery.
Hello and welcome to the second episode of the week's podcast with Dr. Mazda Turel. Today, we are talking about a very, very painful, relentless condition called the trigeminal neuralgia. Doctors call it the suicide disease, the suicide pain, not because patients want to die, but because the pain is so relentless and it is so hard-hitting that you just feel that you're left with nothing but to die. It begins in the face, and simple chores such as chewing, smiling, even feeling the wind on your face becomes very, very fearful. And this is the condition that Dr. Turel will take us through this time. So, doctor, let me start by asking you about one of your own cases wherein this woman came to you, saying the first thing I think she told you was, I really feel like jumping off the Bandra Worli C-Link because I feel a pain that is so hard hitting. What did you feel in that spur of time, in that instant of time?
See, when patients walk in with this particular symptom of trigeminal neuralgia, trigeminal stands for the 5th cranial nerve, and neuralgia means nerve pain. Neuralgia means nerve pain.
Okay.
It's a very classic description that they come with, and sometimes they come holding their hand in their face, and that there's a typical look that they have that you can instantly, from the moment they walk into your office, you can tell that they're suffering. The ones that are really suffering.
Yeah.
This lady was probably in her 60s. She came in with another girlfriend of hers, quite full of life though.
Mm-hmm.
Had a very raspy voice, chain smoker, living life to the fullest, dazzling jewelry. But she said that, listen, I just feel like I want to jump off the bridge because this pain is just killing me. And it has a very typical nature. It's, sharp shooting, electric, shock-like pain. It's as if someone's stabbing you from the inside.
Yeah.
I actually remember a patient of mine, and the reason why it's called suicide disease, because I remember a patient of mine when we were in JJ Hospital where I worked. This patient, he had trigeminal neuralgia, and we kept postponing the operation because we had more serious cases coming in, and he had and severe head injuries and big brain tumors. And we said, okay, we'll do him later. He only has pain. And one day he jumped off the 6th floor of the building and committed suicide. So this pain is
tragic.
Is women who've had this condition tell me that it's worse than the pain of labor without an epidural. So it's sometimes people don't eat for days because the moment they eating sometimes is a trigger. Chewing is a trigger. Swallowing is a trigger. When they brush their teeth.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, even they don't sit under the fan or don't let the draft of the AC. In the winters, it sometimes becomes miserable.
Yeah.
It's a tough disease to treat with. The good thing is that a lot of people get better with medication.
Right. But is this also true that, the awareness is so low, even though the numbers are high, that people first tend to approach a dentist because they think it could be a root canal problem that could be giving them this pain, but it generally turns out to be this then later on, by which time a lot of time has already passed.
Yeah. So most often, the pain radiates in the jaw.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can radiate to the cheek. Sometimes it can go to the forehead.
Yeah.
But most often it's in the jaw. And when it's in the jaw, most people think it's a tooth problem.
Right.
And they go to dentists. Dentists now know how to identify this condition. And they know that this is not related to but sometimes You may have a cavity.
Right.
You may require that to be done. So
Yeah.
that's done, the pain doesn't go. You may have a root canal.
Right.
That gets done, still the pain
It
doesn't
doesn't
go.
go.
You
Right.
may have two. I've had a patient who was actually advised a jaw replacement because they just couldn't find any source. And
Cure
that
for the
time,
pain. Yeah.
the awareness also of this particular condition was limited. A lot of these patients go to pain specialists and they take Botox for the pain. They take pain injections. They
Oh,
take
dear.
several other things.
Right.
And there are many other treatments available for this condition superficially.
Right.
You know, you can directly inject pain relieving stuff. Sometimes you inject alcohol, sometimes you inject
Right.
glycerol into the nerve,
Right.
which
But
can be done
which is obviously
percutaneously.
not permanent. It's very temporary. I think
It's temporary, and
yeah.
also it leaves those are destructive procedures.
Right.
That leaves the face with a certain degree of numbness. It's the exact numbness you feel when you go to a dentist and you get a local anesthesia before a
Anesthesia.
procedure.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
that kind of numbness. So it leaves you feeling heavy in the
Yeah.
face
Yeah.
sometimes. So it's not eliminating the root cause of the problem,
Right.
which is actually a blood vessel most often
Yeah.
that's pressing against a nerve. And every time it pulsates, you get that sharp shooting pain. Sometimes you can have tumors
Right.
that can mimic this kind of pain,
Okay.
or other malformations, arteriovenous malformations that can irritate the nerve and mimic this pain. So it's important to always get an MRI scan done
Right.
when you have this diagnosis in mind, because it may not necessarily be a vascular loop. It may be something sitting over there
Right.
that might be causing that pain. So it's important to get it scanned to see what
Yeah.
the structural pathology is.
But it's very interesting that this little nerve can cause so much pain.
Yeah, because
I mean,
it's a sensory nerve. The nerves are it is what supplies sensation to the whole half of the
face.
face. We take a lot
Okay.
of these things for granted.
Hmm.
The whole symphony of the nervous system has a very, very specific role, and every single thing, every
Right.
single anatomical structure has a task assigned to it. And all of these are very delicate. Actually, the fifth cranial nerve, or the trigeminal nerve, is one of the largest and the thickest nerves in the
Okay.
cranial nerves.
Okay.
And when you see it under the illuminescence of the microscope, it looks beautiful. It's glistening, and you can see a vascular loop that's pressing on the nerve.
Right.
And the surgery
Right.
per se involves separating, silver strands of arachnoid that are adherent to the
Right.
nerve from the vessel. And then once we separate it, you can
Yeah.
actually see how the nerve is indented by this vessel. You can see as if, someone sat on the nerve
Right.
and indented it, like how you get up from a seat
Yeah.
and you can see that
Yeah.
cushioning and that cushion
It's
actually coming up.
Yeah. Yeah.
That kind of an effect you can see happening once you relieve that
So which means
compression.
the moment the surgery is done and the patient is in consciousness, the pain is gone.
Gone. It's magic. It's one of the most rewarding operations in neurosurgery, that it's magical, the kind of relief they feel.
Wow.
It's almost instant. Some people take a couple of days to feel that recovery,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
in 90% of the patients, that relief is almost instant, and the smile on their faces is unbelievable. And when you go to see them the next day in ICU, they are sitting and having a big breakfast, which, as if they haven't seen food for 3-4 days, and they're eating
without fear, without anything.
and
Yeah.
it's really
Something.
and most people who have this operation tell me that I wish I had done it 10 years ago, because they just unnecessarily suffer because surgery, people scare people about surgery, and rightly so, because surgery is not without risk. Every surgery has a certain degree of risk involved in it.
Right.
At the end of the day, it's the human body. We don't know how different people react to
Right.
the same procedure being done again and again. Unfortunately, you can develop an infection, you can develop meningitis, sometimes you can develop bleeding in the brain, you can develop a stroke. I've had a patient who, while we separated the
Yeah.
artery, after we thought it was a beautiful operation, the
Yeah.
pain went away.
Yeah.
3 days later, she had a stroke, because probably the artery was slightly kinked and the blood going to that place wasn't enough. So luckily she didn't, it was a very minor stroke. She didn't have any serious consequence from it. But once you enter inside the brain,
Yeah.
it's not a risk-free zone.
Right.
It's a fine balance that you have to make on offering people this operation, because there is a small complication rate associated with it. But 99% of people are completely gratified by this
Post-surgery.
procedure. It's
Right.
technically it's called a microvascular decompression of the nerve,
Okay.
and
No, but what is the age group of patients you have seen so far who are coming to you with trigeminal neuralgia?
it's mostly the elderly.
Okay.
In the age group of about 50 to 70, most
Okay.
patients.
Okay.
But there is a subset of young patients also who have this condition. Sometimes this condition may happen in patients who have multiple sclerosis also, where just the covering of the nerve gets affected or eroded, and
Okay.
there's no surgical treatment for
Okay.
that per se. You have to treat it with medication. But mostly it's a slightly elderly
Yeah. And in
age group.
all of them, the nerve is what do you say?
In
Compressed.
majority of them, it's the artery that
Artery
compresses the
that gets
nerve. Sometimes
okay.
there can be a bunch of veins that compress the
Compresses the
nerve.
nerve. But why does this happen? Why does the nerve get compressed? Is it over a period of time or
Nobody
as
knows.
in okay.
Like many things in medicine, the answer is actually nobody knows.
Okay. Right.
But the theory is that there is an abnormal course of the vessel
Okay.
that comes in the way. As we age, the
Right.
tortuosity of the vessel increases.
Right.
That may indent the nerve. Sometimes patients have a small posterior fossa, or the area
Right.
that is at the back of the head where this nerve is.
Yeah.
That area is anatomically slightly cramped, so the artery comes in closer contact with the nerve. There are many postulations as to why this happens in some people and why it doesn't happen in some people. And also, sometimes the artery may be in contact with the nerve, but it causes no symptom at all. Many times you see that on the MRI that there's an artery that's touching the nerve, but
Yeah.
patient doesn't have any symptoms related to it.
Okay. As far as
So
it's not like
it's not indenting
compressing
it. It's not
yeah.
indenting it.
Indenting it.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Also, sometime back, the week had carried a cover story on trigeminal neuralgia.
Is it?
And we figured how alarmingly low the awareness was. People are living with this pain, over years, and they
Correct.
did not really know what to do about it. So, in your own practice, tell us how has this gap in the awareness been bridged? Are more people now knowing about this condition, or it's still time for us to get there?
No, definitely now with social media and everybody on a podcast like us,
Right.
and everybody spreading awareness about these conditions. And when a celebrity has something like that, Salman Khan
Yes.
supposedly had trigeminal. I don't know the details, but
Yeah.
whether he had a small vascular malformation or whether he had an artery compressing the
Right.
nerve, I'm not
Mm.
particularly.
But it started from there, actually, the
So,
talk about
yeah,
it,
so if
discussion
anyone,
around it.
if any
Yeah.
famous person has
Yeah.
a affliction, they tend to talk about it and spread awareness about it. But still, I feel that it's underdiagnosed. I still feel that a lot of people don't want to opt for a surgical solution for some strange reason. But the awareness is increasing, like with most things. And we are happy that at least people are now knowing that such a condition exists and there is treatment available.
Right.
My funda is that you should always offer a treatment or a solution to patients when you think it's for their good, when it can reverse at least with a great degree of certainty, it can reverse their problems.
Right.
There's no harm in offering surgery because
Right.
that's the only long-term
Correct.
solution. There is another option besides an injection of giving radiation to the nerve,
Okay.
and that is usually reserved in patients who are not very fit to undergo anesthesia, more elderly subset of patients, and that also has some degree of efficacy.
Okay. Is it it's a quicker procedure than
No, it takes, the actual radiation takes 10-15 minutes to do.
right.
But the procedure actually takes half a day. It's a daycare procedure.
Okay.
You go in the morning and you can go home by evening.
Yeah.
And but again, the efficacy is not as good as what is obtained from an operation.
Okay. Tell me about this lady who, after the moment she woke up, and then, of course, the next day and the days after that, how was it in her life? Like, I'm sure the basics, because this pain is so bad that you can't, you fear even brushing your teeth. And,
Yeah.
what was her feedback to you like after that?
She was just so happy. She went back to smoking. She went back to drinking. She comes to me
Right.
even if she has a rash or
Right.
and she says, "No, I'm not going to anybody else." So sometimes when you're able to change someone's life in that fashion,
Yeah.
they think of you as knowing it all, which is albeit far from the truth. But she drives freely on the C-Link now,
Right.
which is
Which is
with
right.
no thoughts of wanting to end her life. So
Right.
I think
Yeah.
that probably has the greatest impact, I
Right.
feel.
Right. So along with this trigeminal nerve, the trigeminal neuralgia, as we call it, there is
Yes.
another such kind of a pain that exists, I
Yes.
think, in the pharynx.
Yes. So there's another nerve which is called the glossopharyngeal nerve,
Right.
which is the ninth nerve.
Right. Okay.
And that nerve also can get compressed by an artery.
Okay.
And those patients have severe pain when they swallow.
Okay.
Very severe pain when they swallow.
Okay. Okay. But it's
And
limited to the lower part of the
it's
jaw.
limited. Yeah,
It's
it's not in the face.
Not in the face.
It's they have pain in the lower part of the tongue.
Right.
I had a patient who told me I feel like there are crackers bursting in my throat.
Right.
And as if your whole loom is going off, that kind of an electric, and it's horrible. Sometimes they will refuse to eat or drink because even when they swallow their own saliva, they have a lot of pain. And technically it's the same problem, but it's another nerve that's lower down.
The another part
Correct.
of the
Correct.
anatomy. But so also, so this I think, I mean, when you swallow, of course the pain is there and it is huge, but this is more rarer. This pain is rarer than
Is
the
rare.
trigeminal
It's
pain.
definitely rare. I mean, it's 10 times less common than patients who have trigeminal neuralgia. For some strange reason, we don't know why one nerve gets more compressed than the other.
Right. Could you tell us about this patient who had come to you with glossopharyngeal?
She was a
neuralgia?
very elderly lady.
Okay.
And sometimes you can have patients who have both. So clinically, you have to be careful to. I've had 3 patients who've had both problems, and you've had to separate both the nerves from the artery.
Right.
It's essentially technically the same procedure, but this lady, she came again with this kind of a sensation. She was a much elderly lady in her late 70s, and again at that time, offering surgery. When this is not a life-saving operation. This is an operation to improve quality of life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to have that discussion saying that, listen, have surgery, it's going to really make things better for you, is again a conversation that you
But
have to.
Don't patients really come to you saying that no matter what, we want the surgery because they are in so much pain? Is it that you have to offer surgery or they want it desperately?
So this patient desperately wanted to have surgery. The other problem was that this patient had a heart issue.
Okay.
And I still remember that there was a risk of going ahead with surgery because of the heart issue, because she had 3 blockages in the heart.
Oh, okay.
So to go under anesthesia. But the problem is, if you solve the heart problem first, then you have to be on blood thinners for several months after surgery, and then she's going to still be in that pain. So she said, I'm willing to sign an on-table death consent. Then they're that desperate. I'm willing to sign an on-table death consent. I don't care if I die from a heart attack, but I can't live with this pain.
Yeah.
And then you have her to have a joint meeting with the cardiologist, with the anesthesiologist, with the patient, with the relative, and say that, listen, this is a high risk situation. If you're willing to take this risk, you're willing to do it. Also, what happens is that this artery that is pressing against the nerve is very close to the brain stem, and the brain stem regulates heart rate, blood pressure, all of that. And once you tug on it a little bit, you can have sudden fluctuations in heart rate, blood pressure during the operation, which has actually happened in her case. The moment we were trying to mobilize it, her blood pressure used to shoot up dramatically. And then you have to stop again for it to start. Again, you're touching, again, the blood pressure shoots up. So it's like a little dance that you have to perform. Every few millimeters, you release it, let it be, let the blood pressure settle down again. So all those nuances and intricacies, patients don't understand. At the end of the day, they may say that, okay, I'm willing to risk my life. But which doctor can afford to have an on-table death in today's day and age?
Absolutely.
So we have to be extremely, extremely careful of these things. And anyways, through this constant jugalbandi, we were able to separate the artery from the nerve and put a little bit of padding. We put a piece of Teflon between the artery and the nerve and keep the artery away from the nerve.
From it,
And then
Finally.
as
So
expected,
which means
after
you did
surgery,
right.
she
But you did
was.
the heart procedure, then later on you
And
did
then
the
3
angiogram
days
as well.
after surgery,
Hmm.
she underwent a angiogram, and she required 3 stents in the heart. She didn't need a bypass.
Okay.
So we put 3 stents, and she was.
Okay, so both
So both
wonderful.
problems were
Both are
solved, and she was
solved.
then started on blood thinners. So
Right.
she's happy and healthy now.
Wow. But a risk taken,
It's a
and
risk.
it was a leap of faith.
It was a
Both
leap of
in the
faith.
part of you as well as the patient, right?
Correct.
It was
Because you have to
right.
have the patient completely understanding of
Hmm.
the consequences of such a
Hmm.
decision. And most often I find that if you're working in the best intention
Yeah.
and we're working for the good of someone and someone's really desperate,
Yeah.
I think there's always a higher force that helps you pull through or sail through any of these adversities.
Right. She had only the pharynx neuralgia,
Yes,
not the
she didn't have trigeminal neuralgia.
I can't even imagine what
Yeah.
those who are going through
Having
both
both.
of them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
going through.
extremely rare. Extremely rare. Like I told you, I've only seen 3
Yeah,
patients or
yeah.
operated on 3 patients with this condition.
Yeah.
And you have to be very certain of your diagnosis because there are many other mimics that can mimic
Hmm.
this particular condition. So you have to be sure that this is the cause of the problem and this is what you're treating.
That's what awareness among other specialists is also
Yes,
of
correct. So
crucial importance.
maxillofacial surgeons now know about it. Pain specialists now know about it. Dentists know about it. Head and neck surgeons know about it. So general physicians also know about it.
Right.
Because most of these patients usually go to their own physician, right? Saying that this is happening to me.
Right.
What do I do? So
Yeah.
it's up to the physician to decide what this could be and then direct them to the. So nobody straight away comes to a neurosurgeon for almost nothing.
Right.
It's the
But
most.
even then, I think surgery is one shot procedure, and I think, I mean, I'm not like you are the better judge, of course, about the other procedures and stuff, and where surgery might be needed, might not be needed. However, for most patients, I think surgery is that particular magic bullet.
For most patients who are able to tolerate surgery,
it is.
It's the best option.
Yeah.
It's the best option.
I had a friend of mine who had trigeminal neuralgia, a very very young fellow, and it was impossible for him to work in the office because this can come anytime.
Yeah.
It can strike you anytime.
It's like a bolt from the blue.
Yeah, and
whatever you're doing,
whatever you're
there's-
doing, correct. He would just he would have conversations with colleagues, and in mid meetings, it would just start, and
Yeah.
you are like you're in that state,
Yeah.
you cannot talk, you cannot do anything.
Yeah.
So even he was desperate for a surgery, and he finally got it, and now he is in a good space. But just as you said, awareness was so low that he also spent 5 to 6 years actually coming to the right doctor, and
Correct.
to know that this was the solution.
Yeah.
So also, I would like to know one more thing. When it, what would you advise those who are suffering from trigeminal neuralgia? What are the other options they should see before coming to a neurosurgeon? Like, what are the options they
So
should
most
explore?
often the diagnosis, besides it being clinical, is established by the fact that they respond to a certain medication. It's called carbamazepine or gabapentin or pregabalin. They respond to these medications quite well in the initial treatment phase. It's when they stop responding to higher doses of the medication or when they have side effects to these medications is when surgery is recommended.
Right.
Some patients swear that they'll never have surgery. In those patients, we give them the option of giving an injection,
Right.
like I explained to you,
Yes.
which could be either of glycerol or alcohol,
Yeah.
which in some sense is a destructive procedure. Or the other option is to do radiation to the nerve.
Okay.
Those are the 2 other options available, and obviously the last option being surgery. So there are some people who will be absolutely willing to have surgery. So you give them that option. You have to lay down the pros and cons depending on what the patient has, what they want, what they are willing to undergo. And then it's a different conversation with everybody each time.
Right. Do comorbidities like diabetes play a role in deciding whether surgery is
Diabetes, when controlled adequately, doesn't really affect the outcome of surgery.
Okay.
But let's say you have a patient who has a sugar of 400. You won't risk taking them into an elective procedure.
Right.
You want sugars to be controlled because these lead to post-operative infections, post-operative adverse outcomes, which are not really necessary for us to add on to an already existing headache.
Right. Okay. On that note, sir, thank you so much for talking to the Week Doctor. It is such a pleasure. Until the next episode, thank you for watching.
Thank you very much.